order the Tuesday, December 6th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Gustafson. Here. Keen.
I'm here and I can hear you.
Malco.
Here.
Petty. Here. Flock.
Here.
Done.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 3.1, approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the November 15th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting?
So moved.
I'll say motion by Sue Petty, second by trustee Keen. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Dunn.
Yes.
Petty. Yes. Gustafson.
Yes.
Malco.
Yes.
Keen.
Yes.
Flock.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion approved 6-0. Public comment. I don't think we have any. No, is there any non? Public online? Okay. Then I'll slide this right into new business then. And all I have tonight is continued discussion of the working drafts, the Village of Roscoe budget for 2023. And tonight we have the third draft to present. Let me tell you what I want to quickly do before we open it up. I want to, as you look at these, as always, the most recent draft, in this case, the third draft, is the far right column. Any number that's changed is highlighted in green. Okay. I'm going to quickly go through the draft because there's not many. Then I want to go. Then I'm going to go through. I handed you a memo and those on a special line item for yourself. It's in the it's in the put it in water.
Let's go.
There's a memo I just put into the board packet for those of you participating remotely that just says budget draft summary. That's just a bullet point snapshot. I know a lot of the larger items are spread out in different areas throughout this 10-page budget, and they're just the lines blur together. So this is a quick way to look at what we're spending money on, especially on big things. And then of course we'll just open up for questions. So let me just quickly go through one of the continuing thing you will see highlighted in green in every category is the IMRF contribution. It's not a big game changer. I think in the end it reduces our obligation by about $12,000 total, but we just since the last budget, we got our actual obligation of what we pay. Okay. In the past, it had been 2.39% of an employee's, IMRF employees' wages. Now it is 1.06. It's lower this year significantly. So you just see those numbers reflected. Okay. On page 2, the first non-IMRF number is an increase to maintenance and repairs. And this looks specifically at removal and replacement of tile in the entry vestibule.
In the bathroom.
No, I didn't put the bathroom. So off the head.
Can we?
Yeah, for sure. I'll make a note. I worked with some contractors to get a good unit price for removal and replacement. Square foot. Square foot. Pardon? Do you know the square foot? It was 1,100 up there. Yes, the price, the removal is like $350 a square foot. I think I was at 15 or 16 something put it down, and then another linear foot treatment for using the same tile as on the what do you call the like the baseboard kind of a sense. Sure. But yeah, that's and I'm going to, from what you see from the knee wall back will all be tile. Well, we won't replicate the little carpet patches in front of the clerk's door or Janelle's door. And then I'll add the bathrooms in too. Okay. Although I'm curious, I think in the bathrooms, I don't know if I would maybe prefer to do the LVT, the luxury vinyl tile that's in the hallways. And that might look better to continue that on into the bathrooms. And I suppose we could talk about that for the entry too. We sort of talk about what material we want, but I know there have been requests to replace that. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Can we look to the grand scheme of things of eventually getting everything replaced? So with that tile, not the tile, but the stuff that's in the back hall, is so that as you work through the front, eventually you'll have to get into the meeting room where you now are. We have too many surfaces going on here. So if we can move to just getting one flooring surface. So as you said, that patch quilt thing at the front, some tile, some carpet is goofy looking, in my opinion. And if we can get to continuing the type of vinyl flooring that we have, that's what I would suggest, because eventually the carpet in the chamber room right there will have to be replaced as well.
I'll follow, I mean, I'm simply gonna follow the direction of the board
I'm
on
looking at
this.
this price tag, I'm not gonna agree with that at all, because I don't even see $55,000 worth of work in the front. My
Well, that's
dad,
his point. I added 25. We had 30 in there already. That's just sort of roughly, and we've learned that's kind of an accurate number for building maintenance repairs throughout the year that pop up, right? So I've added 25,000.
25,000.
Correct.
Okay, because it just says vestibule tile next to it, so.
I didn't mean-
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
But
I didn't mean to imply that we do it all this year, but eventually, so that if there's a grand plan for remodeling, that you be consistent in what you do, so that eventually it all looks the same.
Justin brings up a good point. I should point out that when you see these in green, what we're probably just looking at is the difference from the number you see second draft to third. So in this case, I could have called that out more specifically, but it's an addition of 25,000,
Okay.
going from 30 to 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was.
We hear what you're putting down.
Likewise, in here under office furnishings, I made revised that to 13,205, and that would be looking at replacing all of the chairs here in the main council chambers. It would be the chair that Gene is sitting on. That's a sample that's here. In fabric, it's 300 there, and please check them out. They're sturdy as can be. They're actually what we've already used for what we call guest chairs in a couple of the offices. I think in chief and deputy chief's offices over on the police side, and there's a couple in President Zula's office. We can get them in that fabric covering, or we can get a vinyl coating that looks very much like leather, which might be a little more cleanable, but it adds about $50 to the price of the chair. They are not cheap. That's a $300 chair, but 30 at 300 or 350, depending on, and I use 350. I use the upper number right now just for budgeting. That would be the leather light vinyl surface or the fabric. But they are, if you pick them out, that's the last time it'll be the last time we're buying chairs for.
Can we get half that much?
What's that?
Can we get half that much?
15 chairs?
I mean, you see how much they're utilized.
I'll buy as many as I'm told to buy. And then we're just rounding out. So I want to get the police department has a couple nice love. I don't know if they're leather or fake leather. The love seats and the chairs in the back, and I want to match the love seat they have and the coffee table they have in the notch space in the conference room. So we're going to utilize that more as a little informal group gathering thing. So we can use some of the chairs of the table, or some of the chairs that are on that table, spin them around and have like a little smaller area for us to have meetings back there. And we're getting Joe a desk and a side table and a lateral file for the corner, but that I'm getting this year. So
That what?
that I'm gonna purchase this year. So that's not in the budget.
So who's gonna clean out the conference room before the furniture goes in?
It'd be a group effort. Yeah, there's a ton of code enforcement stuff in there, and I have stuff in there, and we'll just have to all parse it out of there.
Okay.
Yep. Joe has stuff in there, but Joe's stuff will still be there. It will just be more neatly. It'll have a space because it's just on the conference table right now. Ann and Janelle helped sort of itemize a per event budget, which came very close to what the $15,000 placeholder, but it did end up coming to 18,000. I'll send that out to you. It's handwritten and I have it in my office somewhere, so I'll type that up and send it to everyone. But that covers all of our events, from candy we buy for fall festival, hometown holiday, national night out, truck or treat, and taste on Maine. And we're adding a special one this year to host a little ribbon cutting, grand opening, something for the new Public Works building. And that's done and open. So I put that at 3,000 only to 18,000. I am ref again, as had been requested of me, a couple times, I put a line item into code enforcement for office supplies. So there's that. Got a firm number on our liability insurance. I think the quote might be attached to the back page of the supplemental materials I gave you. But I mean, it was close. I went down $8,000 or 7,400. The rest for IMRFs until we get into, okay. Page 6. This is one of the bigger ones. Typo. But we authorized the purchase of that cat loader last year. We finally got it. It's here. It's a thing of beauty. It's an awesome big piece of equipment. And now we're gonna have to start paying for it. We haven't paid a penny for it yet, but we have it. We were going to, and we had approved that on buying it on a 5-year, 60-month lease. Just to sort of lower cash flow on that outlay. It was quoted to, at that time, it was 2% and change. It's now 7%. And that amounts to over $30,000 in interest on this thing. And I think that's nuts. So what I'm proposing to do, I'm modifying. I think we had previously had 25,000-ish in there for this year's lease payments. I just want to buy it all out. It is 182,500.
Yes.
And so I have changed, I've amended the budget to reflect just paying it all right now and avoiding any interest on it.
Sure.
Well, why does it say 246?
Because there's other things in that line item as well. That's capital equipment. If we go to your binder, you would see some of the other things listed. And in fact, that's where you would see what had been appropriated specifically for the loader. So it's adding, I think, about $150,000 to where it was.
So you're just gonna pay for the loader outright.
Pay for it.
2.5.
Now, the upside is while signing that lease agreement last year did not lock us into the interest rate. I wish it would have, but it didn't. It did lock us into the purchase price, and the vehicle has gone up $30,000 since then.
Sure.
Over 210 right now. So we were still able to buy it for the price that was proposed a year ago. I just want to buy it outright. Added a little bit to the dock system at Riverside Park because Troy had explained to me that it's not just the dock. We're gonna do some shoreline improvements there as well. Place riprap along the length of the shore on either side of the dock and do some improvements. There's a very bad scour, a big pit that has happened at the end of the ramp. Probably people power load. It just happens over time when people power load the ramp. They grind the propeller and try to drive the boat up onto the trailer and it scours a big hole. So there's just some repair work. We'll probably have to dump a bunch of stone into that or something, or perhaps even try to get a new slab of concrete to extend the ramp.
I have one question. The plantings that you put down there, are they still there? Did they grow?
The trees we planted for the Girl Scout,
No.
that's all they did.
Didn't we put some extra
Nope.
rock or something and some plantings for flooding control?
We rerouted the road to get it away from that initial scour coming over. We did talk about starting to plant a bunch of trees in there.
But
but
we
we never
didn't
did it.
approve it. Okay, all right.
So the only thing we planted were the Girl Scout trees, and they're thriving. They're still alive and well.
All right.
Splash pad, I just put it back to its regular number because even, and we, I'll have to present to you whether we're buying that equipment or not, but even if we do, it will be we won't get it. And Steve says that the expense needs to be counted towards the year it is received, not the year it's spent. So even if I can buy it right now or sign a purchase agreement right now, it would count as an expenditure for next year. So I put that back in. That was the original price on the old splash pad was 182,500. That's the splash pad, the concrete, the utility connections, everything. All right, I had misplaced some of the police department equipment. I had some of their equipment is capital equipment. And I had pushed that all up into their non-capital, which was only $2,000. Their non-capital, if you look through the itemized sheet that she put together, there's only about $2,000 in ammunition for their non-capital equipment. Everything else is the capital equipment. So that all amounts to $94,606, which includes the UTV. What does U stand for? Utility terrain vehicle.
Or all terrain.
I looked for ATV, but that would say UTV. So I don't know. That also included the increase we put in previously for equipment for the SWAT team participation. I'm going to jump all the way back here to capital fund, which is page 10. And as requested, put in some engineering, put in $39,000 would be all of the engineering to put the plan set together for 2024. So for not next year's work, but for the year after, we talked about designing that in advance and getting on a cycle of designing them a year in advance, which is a great idea. Hey, Brandon, did this number include construction observation though, or is this just design?
Yes, that includes construction observation and also materials testing. So potentially pavement cores that might be required before we actually start the design so that we can confirm the scope. And then also, so yeah, if you're wanting just the design engineering number, that would be, it'll actually be lower than that.
Yeah, I don't know that we would prepay the construction observation.
Correct. Yeah, we usually handle that T&M. So
Okay.
that's my mistake. I can
No,
revise that
that's fine.
number and get that to you.
So it'll go down a little bit, but at least we're getting the design work. And right now, 2024 is all the remainder of promontory. Last year or the year before, we did the entrance to promontory, and this would be the room for 2024, not next year's work, but the year after is promontory. Again, we'd be paying for the design next year. Design it in advance. For next year, we have if you look at the exhibits, the attachments that I gave you, and those are in the board packet as well. For next year, we're proposing to do year one of the 5-year plan, which is largely Sagewood subdivision. And the breakout now that is on the front page of those attachments is new information to you. This shows the original cost estimate of just doing these roads to their regular old rural standard. So aggregate shoulders. So for Sagewood, that came to $847,333. Now the next line down is using that 24-inch concrete edge treatment, like a curb and gutter that's flat. Not much of a V, it really just sheets right off into the ditches still.
It's at the same pitch.
It's not meant to carry water along the street. It's just
Runs off.
a cleaner look. It prevents rock from going into the streets or into the ditch, and it certainly will preserve the integrity of the edge of the road, of the pavement. But that does get, in this case, that takes from $847,333 up to $1.3 million. $1,298,128. Now, the third category you see is just doing the concrete at all the radii, at all the curves in the intersection. It's what we did in Chicory this year. It looks great, functions great, and that intersection, as those doing the drives through there can attest, it's not full of rock. And a lot of other intersections are full of rock from people cutting the corner and spitting rocks out to the street. So what I put in for the purposes of budget is the third option. Now, that's totally up for you guys to discuss. But what I put in, and I rounded up to 910,000 from 907,333. So you see 910 in there. And that would have the concrete at the intersections. And on that exhibit, you have the intersections are circled. It's at the major intersections, not at every single one. Now, because we have a healthy fund balance moving forward, in addition to the 5 years, I had asked Barry Graham to put together other chunks of projects that we could use as fill-ins or add-ons in any given year. And what is being proposed, again, as we've discussed in previous drafts, is the downtown area. So that's the next page there. That is Chestnut, Broad Street, and Harrison. Pretty much the entirety of all three of those roads, and then 6 intersections. Again, proposing to just do the concrete treatment at the 4 quadrants of each intersection. Coincidentally, that is also 910,000. It looks like a mistake on your budget, but that's 908,836. So I also rounded that one up to 910,000. Those are the only numbers that have changed in the capital, except I moved. We had in a previous drafts, the police department garage was showing up in this capital fund as well, but Steve directed that that's more appropriately listed under the police department's budget. When the capital improvement is associated with a department or a use, parks, public works, public safety, that's where it should be. And the capital fund itself is really for municipal improvements, roads and utility infrastructure. Real quickly, I want to tell you that based upon our discussions, I have taken a fresh approach to calculating our reserve policy. Previously, it would have been based upon 50% of our total general fund expenditures. And that number right now is $10,210,136. If I take all the capital stuff out of there and we just make this a non-capital basis by non-capital general fund expenditures, so operating expenses essentially. I might have a few, I got to tell you a few little capital things might have snuck in there. I don't think I pulled the UTV out because that was buried in another number. So I could go over this with a fine tooth comb again, but generally taking out all the capital projects or transfers, that brings the non-capital capital general fund $7,149,262. So 50% of that for this a 6-month reserve policy on that set of expenditures is $3.5 million instead of $5 million. To be $3,574,631. This budget as it stands right now, prior to your discussions and modifications, page 8, I hate that this little table got split. I'll fix that in later versions. But page 8 would show that we still are projecting a general fund revenue of $7,057,011. We are up to $10,210,136 in expenditures. But again, there's that non-capital expenditures right next to it, 7.149. We're going to have a $6.25 million end of year general fund balance. We have a lot of money rolling forward.
Yep.
So the way we calculate this right now, we take the reserve policy, the requirement would be 3.5 million. So we take our fund balance moving forward, which is 6,250,000. We deduct the difference between our projected revenues and expenditures, and we're upside down on that by 3,153,125. What that says is that our projected fund balance, as you would apply it to policy, is 3,096,875. So we're closer, but now we're $477,000 under that 6-month requirement, as opposed to almost $2 million more than that. This, I'm not sure. I don't know if I see enough heads nodding.
I thought we talked about moving it to 4 months.
We did.
Well, no, we could do that too. That would make it. But you did talk about that. I did say the first thing I was going to come back and show.
Yeah,
you.
you
That
said
was
three.
Stacy's.
Stacy said 4 months, I think she said 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stacy's.
Then. That's 2,359,256,46. And that puts us well above. If that becomes the policy, our fund balance would be $3,096,000 as opposed against the requirement of 2.359.
The reserve
Sounds
was
like a thing to do.
only operating expenses too, right?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
yeah, that's how I went from
Trying to
10.
make sure I'm staying on track here because you're.
Let's keep it
Right
light.
now.
Right, it's paying all of our expenses.
Yeah, that was the operating, that was the difference from going from 10,210,136 down to 7,149,262. That's reducing the operating expenses. That's taking all the capital projects and purchases out of it. Now, there's still capital in there because we have commitments. We have, that's still paying for our vehicles and things like that. You know, not.
Yeah.
Those are still operating expenses, but it would take, this discounts any capital purchases and any capital projects. Those aren't considered operating expenses. So that is the effective budget number we're working against is 7,149,262. And if we do 4 months, that the reserve policy requirement would be 2,359,256. And if that's the case, as proposed, we are well in compliance with the policy. Let's look at this bullet point summary sheet real quick. And just try to simplify it. The stuff we're buying, stuff we're fixing, stuff we're building. And again, this is stuff that become, I just went to our capital list. I wasn't going to go to every staple that we're buying. Shelving units and storage stuff, basically the interior furnishings for the new Public Works edition, about $10,000. None of that was put into the project itself. No need to pay a markup on that by having a GC provided. 72-inch tiller, about $10,000. Literally rotor tiller, something to fill the ground up. 2 electronic message boards. So those are the, just the programmable signs that we can put up to say street closures, directing people for like volleyball or holidays. We have one that's in the back of a vehicle, but it can only be moved in the back of the vehicle, and the vehicle must be left there and left running to use it. So these would be pull behind trailer ones that could be left somewhere. 2 of those would be $45,000. The loader, I just talked about that. That's proposing to buy it outright right now for $182,500. It will be a 23. The invoice on that isn't due till 1st of February, so that's a 23 expense. Forks for that loader, $10,000. Picnic tables, $12,500. Outdoor fitness stations that have sort of held over from last year, $35,000. The Polaris Ranger UTV that the police department has requested is $30,000. They have $13,500 in rifles and a $4,200 ballistic shield. That's essentially anything we're buying that's that amount of money or more.
Scott? Scott?
Yep.
I have a request here. I know some of this stuff listed under stuff we are buying, holdovers, requests, but I would like a roundtable thumbs up, thumbs down on some of these items. Some of them were wish lists and some of them may be not quite that important at this particular time. And it's great to say we've got the money and we can afford all this stuff, but we all know that there are other things that come up or there may be better uses for those dollars. So
That's
for
exactly what
example-
we will do. I just wanted to get her just to quickly run through it all to identify what they are, and then we could go through them individually and like we did last year, thumbs up, thumbs down on them or modify them.
Thank you.
Stuff we're fixing, a lot of it's, we have roof stuff here, so a metal roof for the entire Public Works building is $180,000. Shingle roofs at the salt shed and the police department has a storage garage out at the Public Works facility of $22,000. The answer to a question, is it needed, is absolutely. The roofs are all in horrific disrepair. In some cases, tarp. HVAC at Swanson, $20,000. Leland Park restroom restorations, $15,000. Leland Park electric system upgrades to the tune of about $25,000. The Porter Park cabin interior and exterior restoration, I have $100,000 in right now. We had 2 what appear to be very reputable log cabin contractors go out, take a look at it, put together recommended scope of improvements inside and out. You have those
Yes.
are in that handout. I was shocked. One of them is about 60,000. The other one combined is 160 some thousand. I don't know, I don't know what to make of that. It means it bears further investigation for sure. And I'm putting in $100,000 right now as a placeholder.
That's
Okay.
kind of fun.
It's, yeah, it is a little shocking.
Well,
And then baseball diamond repair and restoration to about $15,000. Now stuff we're building. Again, residential streets program for Sagewood, 910,000. Residential streets program for the downtown area, 910,000. Engineering only, 39,000. Again, we just keep talking about potentially this parking lot on the open land just north of Village Hall, other side of the bridge, $100,000. That still is predicated on a private-public partnership with Mr. Prosser. He seems to still be willing, and so it's an option we could explore. Yeah, we could talk about that openly. We have, Robert Prosser has talked about buying the land and donating it to the village. We would construct about an 18-car parking lot on it. It would be open municipal parking till 5 p.m. and could be then utilized for firehouse public parking after 5 p.m.
Would it be limited to firehouse
No,
after that time?
No, it's just eligible for, we would discourage it during 8 to 5 or whatever hours.
Okay, but any business could use it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not their exclusive use after 5,
Okay.
they just allowed. Police department garage, I had it $470,000. New splash pad at Leland, 182,500. New dock system and shoreline improvements. At Riverside to 70,000, and the Porter Park expansion, which is just expanding into the newly owned triangular parcel that would have some dog park improvements, some parking lot, disc golf, and some utility improvements brought into that area. I think that's kind of a quick nutshell of the highlights. So at this point, let me turn it over to questions or comments, and then yes, we can go through these individually. But anyone have general thoughts on everything I've said so far? Are people comfortable with the reserve, the new approach to the reserve policy?
oh yeah, I'd recommend that we just move it before.
Yeah.
Months.
I'm comfortable with that.
4 months of non-capital general fund expenditures.
Correct.
Okay.
I still
Carol,
hold out
what do you
for,
think of that?
I still hold out for 6 months.
Yeah, 4 months. Measuring up.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we're doing that.
Well,
So I have 1, 2, 5 hands went up for 4 months. Carol's at 6. Tony, the reserve policy, again, we'll just apply this to non-capital expenses from the general fund. Then we're looking at either setting that as 6 months or 4 months.
4 months.
All right. Okay, that's something that we can put together on an updated ordinance, right, Joe? We can just revise the existing policy, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. You want me to, should we just go through these bullet points and say, okay, how do people feel about getting shelving and stuff for the public works building?
Yes.
What's name? I'll start with people on the radio, on the phone. What do you think, Carol?
Yes,
Tony?
Absolutely. Gotta have a place to put stuff.
Sue?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, okay, that's it. The tiller. I'll reverse it this time. I'll start with Stacy.
Yes. Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes,
Carol?
yes,
Okay. The message boards. two of them at 45,000. I suppose if you wanted to, someone could say one, but the idea being two is to go at opposite ends of a closure or something, right? So to be able to put notices up at two ends or something.
We have one now.
Like I said, the one we have now, I'm gonna say no. We do have one, but again, it has to be transported in the bed of a truck and the truck has to be left there and running. So no, I don't have one that I can leave out for any length of time. I'm starting in the middle. Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes,
Tony,
Yep.
Justin,
Yes.
and Stacy.
Yes.
Okay. The loader is not a matter of whether we're buying it. We are buying it. It's here. Are people okay with buying it outright for 182,500? Justin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes, we gotta have it.
Mike,
Yes.
Carol.
is it going to need anything else added to it?
The
Well,
four.
he's asking for forks right on the next one, so.
Okay,
Right now, let's just vote on whether we're paying for this outright. or
Outright.
making- Yeah,
okay, yes.
okay, and Stacy,
Yes.
okay, now we can get into, good, thank you, that's saving us money, that should have been a no-brainer. Forks for the loader, so Troy, can you tell me, I probably won't do a good job of describing what the forks are, why we need them, why they're aftermarket, to talk about the forks and then anything else, any other attachments or aftermarket stuff that we might need, use, or want for the loader.
The forks for that loader are obviously heavier duty than the little forks that we have for our skid steers that are just made for kind of picking up pallets. These forks are used to pick up bigger rocks like boulders, the real heavy pallets that the skid steers can't pick up. We've used them before had to move some cars around in the impound, like that needed to be moved, the totaled ones. There is
Forks, it's just forks, when you say forks, it's like forks on a forklift, it's two parallel big pieces of steel.
Yeah, they're stout.
Yeah,
correct, but they're a little bit longer than the ones on a forklift. These are like 5-foot ones. And as far as other equipment, I mean, there's a lot of options that we could, bigger brooms, like push brooms. We have those for our skid steer, so I don't see that in the future. There is an option of getting a bigger push plow. We have a smaller one that goes on our skid steer, but they make the bigger, wider ones for, down the road if we get more parking lots or Main Street with the off-street parking or something, But for right now,
this does have a plow, right, Troy?
correct. This is like an articular plow, just like, like the plow trucks have.
I don't know if everyone realized that, they're gonna be using the loader to plow as well. I think cul-de-sacs primarily, right, Troy, where there's sort of tight access and this has a really tight turning radius.
Correct. Yep. Cul-de-sacs. And then, if we ever do get a lot of snow, it helps for pushing back intersections because you can pick up and push farther back so people can see.
So right now we're asking for the forks. I don't know whether we'll ask for anything else in the future. I suppose we'll deal with it as it comes up. But right now, the ask is for these forks for the loader. Stacy,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Stu,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes,
and Tony.
Yes.
Picnic tables. Troy, how many picnic tables was 12,500 getting us?
It's right around 10. They're pretty expensive.
They are, and there's a couple, this includes, I made a request to have a couple of like the hexagon or octagon picnic tables, the vinyl coated ones down here that we could keep on, off to the edge of the parking lot and use that for these food truck Fridays. Right now, we have Troy bring an aluminum one from a park every Friday and then take it back. So this does include a couple to keep here at Village Hall.
a question, exclusive of the ones used at Village Hall, these are always anchored to some space so people cannot throw them in the Chicory Ridge Pond, for example.
I don't know,
Probably
Troy.
a pretty good drive, but
No, we've had tables in the pond before. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah, they move them. These will be anchored down, yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Not bad. Carol, I'll start with you.
Yes,
Tony,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Okay. Outdoor fitness stations. I think there's good pictures of these in the binder as well. You know, these are ones that could either be linear along a path or they'd be clustered together in like an outside gym space that we wanted to. My thought would that these would be something incorporated in the expansion of Porter Park path. Would be a good home for them. Excuse me, not on the Porter Park. As we extend the path and wind it through that new triangular parcel, I don't know, it strikes me as a decent location for them. So,
Scott,
yeah,
excuse me, when I had suggested these, I was looking at something that would be for older users of our parks. So while these are attractive, it's not top priority with me right now. I would like to see something for that total space. And if this fits, fine. Or if there is something that fits better, for example, a pickleball court, just something that would attract and be usable by older patrons.
Yeah.
Within, because we have so much playground equipment, you know, and ball diamond stuff for kids. So I guess these are nice, but they can be, I would trade them for something else that we would see as more usable.
Okay.
For our older patrons.
Here's something I'll point out too with respect to the Porter Park expansion, that is a project that I submitted for an OSLAD grant. And in the OSLAD grant, that's awarded based on the variety of recreational opportunities. So I tacked a bunch of stuff in there. So these are identified as a component. So that is one way to look at it. If by chance we're successful in that grant, well, that's a lot of money and we can certainly get them. But I even put, one of the bigger ticket items, I put a bridge, I put a pedestrian bridge in the OSLAD grant request there so that we could avail ourselves of the western half of this parcel because there's a creek that runs through it. I don't know, just being mindful that in the event that we are successful with that grant application, we can certainly get a few more of these things that we might appropriate right now.
So the outdoor fitness stations, I sent you one it's a complete build out. It's not just like 2 or 3 items. I think it was what, $70,000.
Yeah.
It's all inclusive, so anybody can use it, older residents, people in wheelchairs, anyone.
Mhm.
So that's another option to go. That's kind of where I've been playing with Porter Park and some of the stuff that I've sent Scott with the stuff I've been working on for parks is trying to make at least 3 of our main parks, which I'm focusing on Porter, Leland, and Chicory Ridge. Our largest, Leland's not, but it's downtown. Try and make them all inclusive. Because we don't have like wheelchair swings, and we were at the trick or treat event, and a gentleman in a wheelchair had to sit on the side of the park and watch everybody play. So it's trying to be more inclusive of everyone.
Good idea.
So,
Can we hold this and relabel it rather than just fitness equipment?
well, if we keep it, I'd like to see it maybe just roll into the Porter Park expansion and then expand it as well.
Yeah.
And make it an actual fitness area, not just a couple pieces of equipment.
But Justin has been working with, been providing a ton of information on exactly like you just referenced, a bunch of options for improving and adding to our parks. A lot of them will probably fit into a 5-year plan or longer, but it's cool to start having all this stuff together and start itemizing it, and we will present it. We need to work on, Troy and I need to work on a capital plan anyway. Really should have a capital improvement plan that sets what we want to be spending money on for the next 5 years. But to Justin's point, I think I'm going to go back through them all again, because as soon as you said the swing, there's a couple of those that I think we should be putting in play right now this year. And I don't know that I pushed them into this year yet. But so now let's just look at what we have in front of us.
Stations when I sent it to you was because I made a 10-year plan. I have finished all 10 years, but the first 2 had the
Yep.
fitness stations in year 2.
Yep.
And then the main build outs of it in year 1 for Porter Park. And then like year 3, I think we jumped into Leland and doing something in Denali for the land that we got there. And then year, I think 5 is when Chicory Ridge started.
Yeah, the driving factor on Denali will be the need to have roads to get to it. So we'll be a little bit on the Petrie schedule.
Right.
Um,
I just put it
Yeah.
in year 3 because I know the land's not ready yet.
Right.
And I don't really want a park built and then they're still building houses right next door.
right,
So
right.
it's not that big.
Should we hold off on the fitness stations then as a 2024 thing?
Yes.
And make it, but then make it bigger too and make it like its own outdoor fitness center?
Yeah, somewhere people can go instead of just throwing random places.
I'm sort of think I'm hearing that from 2 or 3 already, so
I'll ask the question.
yeah, so I'm hearing everyone say yes, so I think I'm just hearing it, but Stacy,
Yes.
Justin,
Yeah.
Mike, holding off, Stu, Tony,
Yes, hold
Jeff
on.
and Carol. Okay, we'll just hold off on that.
So it would be moving it or a more comprehensive planning, shall we
Correct.
say? Is that what we're doing here? Yes, yes.
It'll be brought back up in 2024 as well.
Okay, the Polaris Ranger UTV for $30,000. Sue.
No.
Wait, I need to make my little talent sheet.
I have a question about this.
Yes,
Do we need a Polaris UTV?
No,
Because we could get
can
some
borrow
for $10,000 or $12,000
no, we
instead.
can borrow one. It was a wish list item.
I just didn't know if we needed the giant fancy one. If we could get something smaller.
We can borrow it from most Motorsports. Sports.
Okay.
It's just a wish list.
Mike,
If it's not necessary, I'd say no.
Justin,
No,
Stacy,
No, be nice to look, maybe a used one too. We're not gonna use it for a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Tony,
No,
and Carol.
No,
Okay, we'll hold off on that. The rifles, I think we can all, can we just all say yes? I say yes. Okay,
for both of them.
okay, and the ballistic shield. Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
weapons
then those
now.
okay, stuff for fixing, metal
Rifles
roof,
be used for turkey hunting?
what's that?
The rifles be used for turkey hunting?
Absolutely.
Only a certain.
Sure. The roofs, we have the metal roof, and we look talking about separately, I guess, but metal roof at Public Works,
Yes.
Stacy,
Don't we have to do these things?
what we do.
Anything we have to do.
Well, here, but no, well, to be fair though, I guess you could say, don't do it out of metal. Now, we did the addition out of metal, and the metal will last a lot longer. It should be done in metal.
Yes.
I'm a yes on everything fixed. I think we need to fix it. So
Okay,
I'm a yes across the board there.
okay,
I would agree with Steve.
yeah. Well, how about that? All right.
For the Porter Park cabin though, I'd like to see us maybe put more money towards that and take away the splash pad and just put 200,000 for the placeholder for.
Okay, then setting Porter Park, how about this? Setting Porter Park cabin aside, I'm gonna ask everyone if they generally approve of all the other stuff we're fixing.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Porter separately. So Sue, yes, Mike,
Yes,
Justin,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Carol,
Just one second. What are you specifically asking here?
what I asked was, yes or no, to all of these bullet points under stuff we're fixing, except Porter cabin, interior, exterior. We'll talk about that separately. But the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points, globally, yes or no?
I just have a general question. The Leland Park restroom restoration, does that mean rebuilding them? Are they just totally trashed?
That's a question for Troy, buddy.
That is all new sinks, urinals, and toilets, and wall partitioners. And obviously we'll paint everything.
It sounds pretty much like a full replacement then, yeah.
Yeah. And traditionally, hadn't those things been locked and unlocked by our PD because of vandalism? So are we going to be able to do something when we restore these that also get us it's an oxymoron, restroom security, I don't know, protection against vandalism. How do you restore a public, I know this is in the weeds, how do you restore a park restroom to make sure that you don't have that element of vandalism and destruction that these have been subjected to?
You repaint stuff frequently and just try to stay a step ahead, or you do it stainless steel, which I think drives these prices up dramatically, but if we did everything in stainless steel, that's pretty dang vandal resistant.
Almost like prison.
Yeah,
Yeah, make them like the prison bathrooms.
that's exactly right. Yeah, if anyone remembers from their tours of the PD, at the bathroom back in the interview room, the holding room off the Sallyport, it's all indestructible.
Well, when we do that, can we explore that? Because it
Sure.
doesn't make sense to go do this every 5 years, 10 years or something.
A lot of the
So, yes,
manufacturers are coming out with like plastic products that they claim don't allow, the paint can't get a good bond. And they provide a solvent along with it that supposedly magically erases almost any paint that goes on it. High density polyethylene materials. So we can look into those too.
Okay, so I'm all in favor of fixing them, but making them as vandal proof as we possibly can.
Yeah. Between you and me, I'm thinking 15 might be a little light, and that's okay. We're gonna figure it out and do it right. So
I have one question actually that I missed for the electric systems. What's that include?
right, that's electric. I think it's electric distribution. How we set up for Fall Festival. But Troy, why don't you talk about the electric system upgrades?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Scott. It's those electric panels that are out kind of like in the baseball field, and then the far one on the, I guess it'd be the southeast side of Leland Park. It's just there's a lot of older fuses in there. We need to run new wires back to the main transformer that's on right field of baseball, just right outside, kind of just southeast west of the bathrooms. I'm sorry. So we'll run new wire, better fuses, this upgrade everything, make everything more safer.
Well, I guess while we're doing that, can we add a light to the playground? Cause I was there for a baseball game and it was pitch black.
Okay.
You couldn't see the kids from third base.
The answer is yes, we can.
So I
Definitely.
was supporting that, kids for other,
What we'll do is get a,
I couldn't see the playground at all.
okay.
So,
Yeah, of course, we can add lights. What we'll probably have to tell you is what we think it'll cost,
yeah,
right?
I know.
And so,
I guess if we could leave the restoration for the restroom and the electric system out for now, and you guys give price for those.
With the lights on.
The lights were on the field, but there were no lights on the playground.
Oh.
So, like,
Playground.
Yeah, you couldn't see, and there were tons of kids on the
Sure.
playground. That are there with their siblings or whatever.
it's probably lights plural then.
Technically, that whole park's supposed to close at dark, so,
Yeah, but it's got kids on it using it, and I'd rather see them be safe than.
yeah, makes sense.
No, yeah, we're acknowledging nighttime use by having illuminated baseball field. So yeah, I'm sure those kids play. Yeah, okay.
Well,
So
if you have, wait, if you have a lot of overhead lights, you have to be cognizant of how the neighbors are gonna feel about that.
To just be adding like one street style light, I mean, it already has huge lights for the baseball diamond, I don't know.
But we always get,
I mean, the answer is yes, you're right, Carol. We'll have to be cognizant of that. Yep. There'll certainly be less light disruption from smaller scale playground lighting than what's at the ball fields now. But yeah, we'd be mindful of what type of fixtures and luminaires we bought and how they were oriented, and yes, do all of that. Okay, so we're yes to all the stuff we're fixing, but let's talk about Porter Cabin then. Well, just, you started talking about it, so I'll let you continue.
Well, as I've been looking at Porter Cabin, if we're going to put all this money into it, I'd like to see us do a little bit more. Me and Stacy kind of talked a little bit about it. He had suggested doing a kids zone in the upstairs part and like a TV. If we're adding internet and stuff like that, then they could use Netflix, or maybe we have a TV service there. Maybe like a foosball table, some chairs, stuff like that.
Well, it's a smart TV, anyone could actually
Right.
stream whatever they want.
Yeah, as long as we have internet there, yeah,
Right,
anybody can log into their account or whatever.
Are you
And
going to
that-
put in an elevator to make it handicap accessible?
Actually, yeah, we
Yeah,
talked about
Me
that.
and Scott did talk about that.
Yeah, lift.
Putting in a second story lift and then doing a spiral staircase instead of the one we currently have. And then also extending the upstairs over the existing staircase to add another 30 or 40 square foot to the upstairs as well. And then,
Would all that require a structural engineer
Oh,
to
yeah.
give us an idea of the feasibility of this and the condition of the building? To do that, to accommodate that?
yeah, it's,
Of course.
I'll let you speak on it, but I know you've had trouble trying to figure that part out.
So, yeah, so I've reached out to an architect friend of mine to start nosing around on that, and his first thoughts were that the lift is probably easily done. Not cheaply done, but easily done. It'll take up, probably that would be, I don't know the orientation, kind of, I guess, probably along the northern wall, the back wall, where the balcony hits that northern exterior wall, probably up and over. So the opposite side of where the staircase access point is now. It would take, so it'll take up some square footage in that floor. We want to push it against the wall best we can. But that would be as simple as having a lift system, not an enclosed elevator. It will just have be open with a gate around it. You could go into the gate, open up, and then it would have to be able to have a gate that opens into the upper level. He knows around some costs. I don't have it yet, but he said it'll be expensive. So it'll be a six-figure fee, he thinks. But, yeah.
Sure, it ain't cheap.
Would it just be by making it ADA compliant? Would it be necessary to have a lift in there? Like an exterior ramp with a door into the second floor?
No, I don't, boy. The ramp would be massive.
Get the right pitch, yeah, you'd have
Yeah.
to do some double backs and.
You'd have to switch back. Anything's possible. I'm thinking through my mind right now. You can, for ADA ramps, they're a maximum slope of 1 to 12. And then they can only go up 30, they can rise, oh, nice. They can rise 30 inches, and then you have to have a level like resting zone, and then go up another 30 inches, and you have to have a level resting zone, and then another 30 inches. So that's why you probably have to see it switching back and around.
Well, having it outside, it would be susceptible to ice and snow.
Also, I'm not sure, are we in the roof line then? Can we get in from outside? We could always, you could build like a dormer if you had to, I suppose.
We should get the cost for the lift first before we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far as having a.
And I don't want to, I'm not trying to, certainly, we're gonna explore every idea, but the first response I got from an architect was be very careful of a spiral spirit staircase in a public place.
It does pretty good. That makes sense.
You just
I'd like to make a suggestion. Since this is obviously a big undertaking, meaning the various options and planning and build out, so on and so forth, that we just look at what needs to be done immediately to stabilize the building and prevent further deterioration. And then for upcoming planning, we need to decide, what do we want this building to be? I hear Justin say, maybe we want this as a young people center. Well, if we want that as a young people center, that will drive the design in a particular way. If we want this as a continuing rented for parties, then that drives our decision in another manner. So we need to have a concept as to how we want to see this used. And it's a much, much larger project. And do we want to do that? Or is it better to build from the ground up someplace else? Your vision for a young people center?
It's not a young people center. I just didn't finish what I was talking about per se. It's just adding one area for children to go to because the Boy Scouts and stuff use it and everything else. And then the downstairs would be the rented space for businesses. I'd like to see us maybe add a projector screen for downstairs, so businesses would possibly rent it during the week, which is where we do not rent it currently. Currently, it's rented every weekend for birthday parties, bridal showers, whatnot. So I'd like to see it a multi-use, not just focused on children.
I like making it more business community friendly as well, and having the proper AV setup that someone could just show up and log into, and like you said, be able to do presentations, be able to have.
Even a pull down screen.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, you could put a remote screen on the reverse end of whoever's showing that, the other side,
Yeah, sure.
have it right there, come down
There you go.
between the windows.
Go to the far end of those windows you're looking at, turn around and look back up at the upper level.
Lot of space there.
We're not proposing changing anything other than taking a new look at the stairs, because they take up a lot of extra space.
Yeah, they do.
And then bringing that floor right up to that railing there, depending on how we ended up doing the stairs. I was thinking a spiral would just be the easiest thing to save space.
Yeah.
There may be other options.
Well, a spiral you
Yeah.
can reclaim all of the open space. That's above the stairs going up, so that could be decked and made as a flat area usable up there. That's a lot of square footage you recapture.
Basically where the stairs are now is where we were thinking maybe the lift would be able to go somewhere
Well,
there.
yeah, and looking at this from this angle, I'm wondering if we're gonna look at a lift, we shouldn't be exploring pushing it, I kept thinking in the direction I gave was that it would be at the outer edge of it, so you'd sort of go up and be able to access from the outer edge, but maybe it needs to be pushed back into the back of it.
I think right where the stairs, the deck of the stairs is, the first landing would be the perfect spot, because it goes right up to the area where we would be bringing the floor out to.
Okay.
And it still keeps it away from the door, it keeps it out of the main area. It
What if
doesn't
how about
intrude
this?
anything.
Or go steps altogether and you just access it via a lift.
I feel like kids would play with that.
Yeah, I
They're
think
gonna anyway. Okay, well,
That's something we should consider, an architect or an engineer to,
oh, for sure.
do those stairs have any structural?
Integrity.
Oh, heck yeah.
For the building itself.
See,
Right.
that needs to be done, but Carol's point is, let's do the basics right now for next year. To stabilize the building.
yeah, that's the 100,000 that we just
Yeah.
agreed on.
I know.
Yeah, we already agreed on it.
Realize.
Well, I don't know, no, we didn't, guys, I'm sorry, but we didn't.
I
But I took
didn't.
that out of that.
Well, I know you took part of park out, but everyone said about fixing it up to the code or, getting it to where.
I didn't
It's
think.
not gonna be-
How about this? Should I up the $100,000 to address,
Design review of stairs.
but even though the things that we do right now, like a sound system or a projection system, or make sure we have Wi-Fi in there, making sure,
TVs.
and that stuff we could add right
Right
now.
now.
Probably wiring too. That was always a problem there.
Put another,
I'd say
20
two,
grand.
I'd say make it a 200,000, because you still don't know where your
yeah,
log
Well,
company's
it's
gonna
cover
end up
everything if you're 200
if you put it up a
Yeah.
bid.
I mean, and you're not gonna, if you don't spend it all, you don't spend it.
Yeah, just drop the splash pad and put another 100.
Wait a minute. Don't be so cavalier with the splash pad.
What do you mean? You didn't want it? Just for
I
last meeting.
didn't say that.
You said you were okay getting rid of it for the
I didn't
cap.
say that.
You did.
It can be
Okay,
moved or delayed, but it's been
You'd like
kicked down the road. It's been kicked down the road several years now. So Leland Park.
We can bring Lindsay back,
Central
advocate for
Leland
it.
Park attracts a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people.
So
Leland
it's-
Park has nothing for young children, no water feature. Let's do something that Rockton doesn't
The
have, another
playground.
community doesn't have.
All diamonds.
She changed her vote on the police department for that splash pad.
We'll change.
Lindsay,
I don't know. That's not a fair thing to say.
Anyway, I guess
I think anything's fair.
you're saying the restoration price is between 60 to
Yes,
$160,000.
That's the range of
That's
proposed.
why I'm trying to bring it up to 200,000, because we don't know where the restoration of just the cabin itself is going to end up anyway. It might not be 100,000, it might be 190,000. So we have to, like you said, we have to address the restoration of the building itself. And then if we have a little bit of additional money, maybe we can add a few of the things like a projector screen
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, it's an appropriation ordinance, so these are largely guesses, or this isn't something that would allow us, should the project expand, to go up to
I
that
think
dollar.
everyone agreed it's
Doesn't
200
mean-
grand, right?
Okay,
Go around the room, but I'm saying 200,000.
okay, that's on the floor is moving this line to 200,000.
Yes.
Mike,
No,
No,
let's say a different number.
160, the high bid that we have so far.
Sue,
160?
Isn't that what we have on?
yes.
That's the high bid.
Okay, 200, 160.
160.
Tony,
I'll go with the 160.
okay, Carol,
Yes, the top bid 160 from that Menominee Falls, I think. Firm.
stuff we're building. Streets programs, let's. Thoughts? Everyone okay with what's being proposed right now as the scope of residential street programs?
I would support anything that gives us longevity, and if building those intersections with the concrete improves longevity as well as appearance, go for it.
The only thing I would say is I'd like to see every intersection done. And doing that for Sagewood, it would bring it up an additional 165,000. For downtown, it'd be an additional 180,000. I don't feel just doing. What
I mean,
we're
we only
experiencing,
did one in Chicory Ridge.
right, what we're experiencing in Chicory Ridge is, there's just gravel in every single intersection, every single one. So I would like to not see that continue happening throughout the rest of the village.
So we
I know
agree.
our problem's not getting fixed. Currently,
Well, Trustee Guston, what he's saying is, you're right, if you see those exhibits. Right now, Paragram has just recommended.
or
Key intersection or high traffic intersection on the major throughways. And what Justin is proposing is seeing that circle at every intersection. Did you use?
I just use the 15,000. I know it'll
15,000.
fluctuate because there's
Okay.
some you're only gonna do 2 radiuses and.
So to your point, like on the Sagewood exhibit, as you're entering in on Upper Ridge, boom, when you hit Sagewood Drive, you do it there. When you hit Cinnabar, where it passes Cinnabar, you do it there. Where it passes Smoke Tree. So everywhere. Not necessarily just where both roads are being reconstructed, but where we're going past existing roads. We do like the radius returns into that intersection with concrete.
Right, so it was a total of, I think, 15 for the first one I had calculated.
Yep.
And then the other one was, it had a couple more.
What do people think about that? I'm gonna say I like it. I'm gonna see what the financial impact is.
I told you it's 165.
Oh, no, I know, I'm sorry. I know that. I want to see what we've, so far we've had $405,000. I just want to see how that's.
Can you bring those exhibits up again?
Do you have on your board full packet?
You put it online this afternoon?
Yeah, it's in your board packet.
First, third, and sixth, don't see much traffic. Downtown.
And just point out what we're experiencing. where we're at is
I get, but you guys have a lot more traffic.
Right.
Those 3 streets have, those 3 streets don't.
Well, remember, you still have garbage trucks turning on these things and everything else. You know what I mean?
I'd say the buses.
That's in the buses. That's
Buses don't go up and down every one of those streets. Up there.
They don't?
They stop at every intersection. Should be real.
They don't? Because that's Chicory Ridge.
Right, I don't know what
They
they
stop in like Second Street and the kids gotta walk to it and then they drive up to 4th Street and they gotta walk. I mean, they don't.
Okay, well, I don't know that. You
That's why they have traffic studies. I mean, You can't just make a blanket call that every intersection should be done.
Why can't
Some- Because of cost.
I mean, I can make that call. It's up to the rest of everyone else to make their own call. I'm making my own.
Just so you know, if we, having gone through the 4-month reserve policy, based on the budget that I gave you, we are $737,000 to the good on the reserve policy. Right now, what I see, you know, we've added potentially, with the things we're talking about, we've added about $400,000, so we're still to the good. Just letting, that's why I wanted to know where this 400,000. And I guess we've cut $70,000 of expenditures out as well.
I don't think we're done cutting yet.
Look,
I have downtown and only needs to be those 6, then
I
that's
guess
fine.
my opinion doesn't matter.
Well, there's the higher traffic one.
I guess I'd like it looked at more. I know up the Ridgeway is probably pretty busy, right? Going onto every street almost, so maybe everything on Upper Ridgeway.
And I don't disagree with the Sagewood, yeah. It is downtown, I don't know that it has the traffic that. the other
Brandon?
ones have.
I mean, we're not approving this budget tonight, so why don't I have Brandon add more intersections? Change the, and address the cost. Okay, Brandon?
Yep. No
And
problem.
we'll see if it's. So Brandon, can I ask, how did, so you picked, in the downtown, you picked 2nd and 4th because they're the through streets, like why would those picked as opposed, I mean, 2nd is obvious, 2nd is the busiest street out there.
Yep.
How did we prioritize 4th over say 3rd or 6th or 1st?
You're exactly right. They're just through routes that carry actually traffic through. If you see, 4th Street goes all the way from Harrison north to Fry. Now, more than likely, most people, if they want to get to Fry Street, they're probably taking 2nd Street. But that was just my general thinking. Now, I guess in this topic, what I would probably suggest is we treat these on a case-by-case basis. I think typically the reason we're seeing aggregate in these intersections is more so just from the radii of the roads that were previously constructed, and the radius weren't built out wide enough to allow for bigger vehicles like school buses and garbage trucks to actually properly make the turn while staying on the pavement. So, for instance, in the Chicory Ridge subdivision at the Meadow Suite and I believe it was Chicory Ridge Way, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure on that, but the intersection that we did the concrete, I think the biggest
Meadow
reason.
Sweet and Angelica,
Thank you.
Meadow Sweet and Angelica.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. So yeah, that was a big intersection that had a lot of bus traffic, a lot of garbage truck traffic, and people cutting the corners. So when we evaluate these roads and we have set roads, what we can do is myself, Troy, any other engineers that from Fairgrand that might be working on the project, what I would recommend is coming up or taking a site visit, driving through these and actually looking at these intersections in person to see, are these radii being cut? Are people driving over the grass or the existing aggregate shoulder? And then making the decision on which intersections we would want to do. That would be my recommendation, but obviously, in enhancing every intersection would also be good, but it comes at a cost.
Do we
I
have
think
any,
either.
do we
Go
have
ahead,
any,
Charles.
do we have any history from Troy on which intersections they have to repair the most during the course of any given season? Like, schools in, we got a lot of bus traffic, and then during the summer, is there anything that seems to be more of a troubling situation than others? That's my question.
Main one with this map that's pulled up right now is the Upper Ridge and Applegate. That's the main one we're always fixing. And Sawmill would be second, Sawmill and Applegate.
Okay, so why don't we do those for sure?
Did I interrupt you? Did I speak over top of you? Were you trying to say something a second ago?
That was Tony.
That was Tony the whole time? Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying that we will have some history, or we currently have some history from Chicory Ridge with the radii on those given intersections. I think that is important to go back and review, and then be strategic in where we actually put these shoulders where we had the most traffic would be my recommendation, particularly with the school buses and garbage trucks. And then if there's any accesses where we have additional traffic from deliveries or the post office or anything like that, where we have high volume is where I would be focusing.
So it seems to be a consensus that we ask our staff to evaluate those areas that are impacted the most and come up with a recommendation of the number of these intersections that need to be addressed. And we look at the dollar amounts that we have. So can we move on?
Here's the note I made was to both of those first two things, yes, but look into adding concrete at more intersections. So that's what I'll do.
Because my thing is, once it's done, it's done. You can't go back and fix it. So let's just make sure we're at least doing the ones that have to be done.
I'm not a voting voice in this, but I'll tell you that from an aesthetic standpoint, I would do them all. I think it just looks better. So even ones where maybe the traffic load isn't such that we have the same concerns about structural integrity or road or stone in the roads, it just looks so much cleaner and better to have it that way. That intersection in Chicory looks beautiful. So
It's one thing that most people in my neighborhood said too, was why did we only do
but
one?
then I assume we're all in agreement that we'll do the engineering for Promontory as well this coming year. All right, and this poor guy hasn't fared well in years past, the parking lot north of the bridge.
No,
You don't get to vote at committee of the whole.
no.
I say we do.
No.
No,
Mike,
No,
Stacy,
Yes. Only if we get rid of street parking in front of Firehouse, so.
Tony?
I say we do it.
I think we're mixed on that then. What do you, if we get rid of what street parking?
Talking about our, right out front?
Right out front of the firehouse.
Yeah,
Park it on the angle.
Yeah, where they pull right out in front of you. when you try to drive down.
I will agree with you, that is dangerous.
that's an action.
We changed those to a couple of handicap that you pulled in this way. I'd be fine with them, but pulling
I'm
out.
talking about lengthways, right?
Yeah, you pulled in and you had like 3 of them maybe or whatever, that would do, or bike parking even. motorcycle
That I'll
parking.
agree with.
if so, I'm gonna revise this cost estimate because that will absolutely eliminate the process participation, I'm sure.
I am sure.
Those 4 or 5 parking spots, if he's getting 18.
I think they like to be able to park right in the front. If I was a merchant, I'd want to be able to park right in front. But
He's gonna lose that eventually, because I'll figure out a way to make sure that goes away.
oh, it'll go away with
It's
the.
straight.
It'll go away with the redesign of Main Street. All
Yeah, we redo Main Street.
How many
It's got
cars
choice,
fit
but
there horizontal?
you know what I mean? It's
What do you
Um,
think? Obviously,
You're
we
gonna
need
lose it.
1 or 2. Yeah,
it's gone.
but I'm sure they probably still want some
Is it?
to go workers.
right.
Maybe even a couple of them to go with. It's just the big trucks parked there and you got a little car and you're coming down.
Oh, it's very dangerous. It's not good parking. You're right.
For it. It should have never been done.
You're 100% right, Stacy.
And that's not the only spot.
He's got all that parking all the way around that thing. And they all want to park right there in front.
And it's all the parking for the businesses to the block north of that as well. And it's the only parking they have in some cases.
Right.
From Blackhawk Barber Shop up to the former Lucky Lock.
Sure.
It's the same thing for the parking. It's the parking in front of Jim Blood.
I'd have to agree with that.
But even there, it's not as bad as right in front of Firehouse seems to be the absolute worst.
I mean, there's 8 parking stalls now there with the handicap and you could do 3 if you did parallel.
You do 3 and mortar or 2 and drive through and then he picks up 16 more on the other side. That seems a hell of a deal to me.
I don't know. I tell you what I heard though was 3 and 3, and then I heard Mr. Advisory capacity role say no also, so.
No, but I said yes. And moving on. After you
Not-
about parking.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion. Did you not once say you were going to schedule a meeting where we could take a look at the Main Street plans Should we not
Yes.
take a look at Main Street plans and how this parking lot might or might not fit in and other alternatives before we jump in and say, yeah, let's do this? Again, let's
Of course it
take
fits
a
in.
comprehensive look at this.
Yes, but of course we've done that. You know, of course we designed Main Street with this parking lot integrated into the design. So it does fit into the proposed design. But that doesn't mean,
But why are we spending money, taxpayer money, on a parking lot that is going to be used for a business? Yes, he's going to donate the land. The land has no other use. If it did, somebody would have
yeah,
built
but we
something
use
on it
it
a
too,
long time
Carol.
ago.
We use it too.
I don't know.
Yeah, we use it too, though.
Well, in the middle of winter, I can't see a lot of people crossing the bridge. On foot.
When we did our survey of people going in the Secretary of State's office and asked them about parking, they didn't say they had a problem with parking. That was the return.
That
of the
is
survey a
true.
while ago.
Very true. I'm looking long-term, so
The only reason.
I
they
don't
want to
care if it
create
goes this
services-
year, but I'm telling you, when we get to the Main Street reconstruction project, we are going to need to have additional off-street surface parking. We will.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to happen next year, but
Sure.
you will need it down the road.
yeah.
So you can just defer that obligation, I
Can we
guess.
move on? It's
Police department, well, I don't know what we vote. I don't know if that's in or not.
3 and 3.
It's 3.
Police department garage, $470,000.
I think it's necessary right now.
I didn't understand what you said, Justin.
I don't
You
think
said
it's
it is or is
necessary.
not. It is or is not?
Is not necessary right now at this time.
Police department garage, Sue,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Justin is no, Stacy,
Is it the police department asking for it?
No.
No.
Tony,
Yes.
and Carol.
No.
Another 3-3. I don't know what that means. I don't know what 3-3 means. I'm sorry.
It means we got 3 opinions one way and 3 the other.
But I don't know whether I should leave it in or take it out for both of the last two.
But why don't we see where we are with dollar amounts and if priorities become maybe doing more intersections than a police garage, that's what we do.
There you go. New splash pad at Leland, 182,500. Carol,
Yes.
Tony,
No.
Sue,
Yes.
Stacy,
No.
Mike,
Yes.
and Justin.
No, but further down the road in an actual plan for parks.
Dock system and shoreline improvements at Riverside, please say yes to this.
It has to be done.
Yes.
Stacy, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Public safety.
Carol,
I have a couple of questions about this. Did we get a definitive, I see the $70,000 price here. Do we have a vendor lined up or somebody that you buy this dock system from?
we don't, yes, it's not we do, it's not a firm price yet. It will have to be designed and put out, but this is what we think is an appropriate placeholder, appropriate amount to budget to do this project.
And this dock system comes out every winter and goes in every spring?
Yes,
And where do we store it?
We store it up by the bathrooms right now. Our old one, we'll store the new one the same spot.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
Tony?
Yes.
On the dock, yeah.
Yes, okay, so that's in. In general, the Porter Park expansion, and I think it still generally complies with the exhibit that was prepared last year and still is in effect this year. Porter Park expansion, dog park, disc golf, parking lot, bringing water over to it. $250,000 right now.
How much does water cost? I'm just curious to bring the water from the roundabout.
I had it itemized, I think about $15,000 maybe.
Well, that's a lot cheaper than I.
Yeah, well, it's right, it's in the immediately adjacent right of way. It's in the Willowbrook right of way.
Yeah, it's actually on this side.
Yeah,
So,
so we just gotta bring a line over that much. And we checked, I mean, I discussed that with North Park Water.
it's not too bad.
Stacy,
Yes.
Justin,
Yeah.
Mike, yes, Sue.
No.
Tony
Yes.
and Carol.
The number of disc golf stations that we would gain would be, are we talking 5, 8, 10?
I think it's 4 before we put a bridge in and 8 if we put a bridge in, or 8 or more.
And I know that organization had been active at one time and they would be happy with any addition. Is 4 going to be sufficient? I mean, I would
What,
favor,
you wanna buy a bridge?
no, I would rather have more disc golf stations than the dog park part
No,
of
they
it.
don't want to be out in the open. So they don't want holes, just golf holes out in the open. They want to use the wooded perimeter. So right now, they've already started, to be honest, I think, with some temporary stuff. And they've laid out how they want to use that wooded perimeter. They've laid out 4 holes that'll work on the east side of the creek. Once we get a bridge in, they were clamoring to put what I would deem an unsafe bridge in and start to use the other side already. And I told them they cannot do that. If we're gonna do a bridge, it's gonna be a proper, safe pedestrian bridge. They're thrilled with anything they can get, like to your point. But they don't wanna utilize the open space.
Well, I favor the Porter Park expansion, the exact details to be fine tuned.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, well, that's that list.
I know
Um,
it's a general list.
Yeah. So what is that? I think this is.
I'm just not
sufficient
excited
for the
about a
next draft.
dog park.
I know.
Do we need 30 chairs? I'm asking you guys.
Yeah.
30 chairs?
20, I think, right? I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
I think West Memorial Road, I think probably.
15. And I keep some of those chairs in the back, stacked up if we need to bring them out.
There are times when we have a lot of people when we do, host it, when you hold on holiday and stuff here, it's completely full. Not for meetings, certainly. Use as many as you want. We can always get more. I mean, it's a.
How many are out there now?
I think I have like 20.
20.
Yeah, about 20. How many you want me to order? 15.
20.
Okay.
I don't know about either, but I think you should at least order 20. Please keep it, I mean, you've got
I
meetings
guess
here,
what's.
you're gonna
the
require
quantities
to have
by
people there.
One?
No, one
Units of 1.
means fine.
Yeah.
But it'll save us an additional few $1,000s, not having 10.
20 chairs. Does anyone else have anything they want to contribute? I will put all of this all into the next draft and you'll have a 4th draft at the next committee meeting. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. We're done?
Do we have any old business?
I. When will the Pearl Street House be demolished?
Not till late January or early February. Chief Sheldon just called me about it yesterday.
Up in the middle of December.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Stacy said, so
Do you want that? I don't know what happened to it other than do you want it demolished faster?
he was the one who asked about it and he's.
No, that
in
is,
favor.
it is what, at one point Chief Sheldon laid out a schedule that he said would lead to it, them being done and burning it in the middle of December. And then he called me yesterday, I think, or the day before. And I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but has there been a chatter on social media or anything about this?
His neighbor.
I had calls from the house across the street, across from it, asking when it was gonna be taken care
Okay.
of. And then the guy.
Okay, there must be, because he asked me specifically if the board was upset with it still being up, and I said I didn't think they were. And he said that their plan was January, February, is that a problem? I go, no, and I could tell them it is. If we want to talk
I just
about
don't want to see it going on forever. It's already, this is a year long.
Yeah.
I know they're using it, they're going down there, but at some point it becomes an eyesore.
When we say January,
end of January? They're
it's the
saying,
end of January, so it
Sure.
doesn't keep getting pushed out.
In January, 1st February, right in there, but that's it. It's gonna come down then or it might just come down.
no, that's fine.
We can do that.
I don't know. I might have given them the wrong impression.
And I noticed, because I swung by it the other day. I noticed grills back behind the PD. How often
Good
are they
question.
used?
They have cookouts at night. I think, I know they cooked a turkey dinner for Thanksgiving.
I just,
It's like they used an air fryer.
there'd be a gas grill and a charcoal grill. I don't know. I didn't get out and look. I just saw. I just didn't know we had grills back there.
I think
Like,
they're-
did you need to?
I don't think they're bought by you
No,
guys.
they're not.
Yeah.
Officers, private ones.
My question is going back to the police parking garage. Jamie, you said there don't need it. It's not something that would be.
I've never been talked to about it. Nobody's ever asked me a word about it. I've never. Okay, well, I've never seen any plans. I've never known anything about it.
Okay.
I don't know why it was suggested in the first place. So if you want to sit here and like say that I'm wrong by opening that up,
I'm just gonna show you.
I'm
the
telling you
drawing.
that I have not been
You're right.
told anything about this. So no, I never asked for it. Never been told why I needed it.
Did someone answer that question?
What's
Yeah.
suggested by Sue.
No,
Yes.
it had been talked about before.
Right, but
Your
your
name
name
was
was
on
on
the
the
talk about. it,
Yeah,
Okay, I take it back. He's right. He showed me a picture. We did talk about it for a minute and I said I didn't need it.
Still right.
I thought that's why we bought the whole street house to.
Future expansion.
Future expansion.
I just don't know that it's right now.
But that's all right.
No,
I
that's the
voted-
same reason we bought this back here, right? It was future
Did
expansion.
that change any of the yes votes on the PD? Should I take it out?
I would take it out if it's not something that.
I agree.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Necessity.
Okay.
I have one question. Where are we with public works employees of the two?
They're reviewing interviews or applications right now.
I just want to make sure at least get it out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Reviewing applications and seeing what they might have for interview. They're doing it today, so I don't know. I can't report on.
I just want to make sure it went out.
Yes,
That's absolutely, that's all.
they've had 20 responses at least, I think. Yeah. Public comment?
Joe.
No need for executive session. Your motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Trustee Petty, trustee Dunn. Call the roll, please.
Petty, yes, Dunn,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Block.
Yeah.
We're done.